This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, Mr. Zabel.
Here.
Ms. Emmeline? Here. Mr. Cap?
Yeah, here.
Mr. Valensky?
Here.
Our first item of business is to approve the minutes from our April 13th meeting. Everybody should have received a copy of those. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes for April 13th. Second.
Motion and a second. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes?
I have none.
Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Okay, Mr. Cap?
Yes.
Mr. Valensky?
Yes.
Ms. Emmeline?
Yes.
Mr. Zabel?
Yes.
We have no items of old business that are carrying forward. We do have one item of new business, which are some text amendments to the Sylvania Township zoning resolution. My understanding that these just reflect sort of the current status of affairs. They've been through the planning commission and been recommended for approval, and we'll let Daryl take us through it.
In April 2021, the Sylvania Township Board of Trustees approved a major update to the Township zoning resolution. The Sylvania Township Zoning Department utilizes the zoning resolution daily, and it was anticipated that there would be some adjustments needed as the new resolution was put into practice. Over the past years, the zoning department personnel have experienced and begun compiling numerous items in the zoning resolution that could do with some clarification. These are mostly minor amendments. In some cases, it was an item that was in the former zoning resolution that inadvertently was not included in the update. Others are outdated or confusing terms or phrases. Still others are just recommended improvements to the zoning regulations. And at the chair's discretion, I can go over any of these.
I know I had a chance to read through them, so I'm fairly comfortable. I know what they are. Does anybody else like Daryl go through them one by one?
I've been through it, makes things clearer. Okay.
Okay, so everybody has received those via the agenda that was posted and through our email system, and has had a chance to review them, so we don't have to go through them one by one. I don't think we've all had a chance to see the edits. Are there any questions for Daryl about any of the changes or any concerns?
I have none.
Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve the changes to the text?
We have one person here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just have just a couple of questions.
Sure.
And I probably.
I'm sorry, I wasn't there.
Yeah.
I'm sort of behind the podium there. I wasn't
There you go,
there.
there you go.
So, you know,
Lawrence Stock,
yeah.
2226 Manoa. Just a couple of questions. I was looking for clarification. I didn't have a chance to call Daryl before the meeting, so I'll just ask now. In Article 8, where you're dealing with accessory buildings, accessory uses on property, where you have less than an acre of land, you're saying you can use up to 10% of the square footage of a lot for accessory buildings. And historically, the code has always restricted that to 2, and I don't know what problems the office had with it, but my concern would be reasonable people will look at it one way, and sometimes people do unreasonable things. Does this mean somebody with a 20,000 square foot lot with a 1,400 square foot home could have a 2,000 square foot accessory building? And also, could you put 4 or 5 accessory buildings on that lot? That's by not having that restriction of the number of buildings. I think you might have an issue there. And I don't mean for reasonable people, but you also get people that are not reasonable sometimes out there. And the other issue that I have is in section 821A, dealing with parking or storing vehicles over the 26,000 pounds. I just want to make sure that, you know, people aren't going to be collecting semis and all that kind of stuff on their small lots of property and that kind of stuff. So those are the only 2 things that I looked at on here. So the number of accessory buildings,
Can you slow that back up, Daryl? Under.
So regarding the,
The vehicles was motorhome.
well, any recreational or commercial vehicles, no, it really wouldn't include a motorhome. This is, maybe we do need to take out recreational. This pertains mostly to the commercial vehicles, and it was rather confusing between the section referring to the 26,000 and the one referring to 12,000. So we are requesting just removing the part regarding the 26,000 and just having a limit of 12,000 maximum gross vehicle weight, and only one vehicle, one commercial vehicle. We looked at some of the other nearby townships, and a lot of them don't allow commercial vehicles on a residential property at all. But we feel that's a little unreasonable or unfair.
Especially if an employee takes his company vehicle.
Exactly. Or you have somebody who's a one-man outfit, he's a painter or whatever, and he's got a van or a pickup truck, he or she. So we certainly don't want to, discourage that. So this would be eliminating the 26,000 pound limit.
But also limiting it to only one vehicle.
Right.
So this is more stringent than 26,000, right?
Yeah, what we're asking for would be more stringent. I don't know how the recreational vehicle thing got by. Though I have no idea what an RV weighs, but I imagine there's a lot of them.
More than 26,000.
Yeah. So I guess I would propose at this time, we eliminate the recreational word and just have it commercial vehicles and utility equipment.
Because you have no problem with recreational vehicles being parked?
As long as, we've got the requirements on those, that they have to be in the side or rear yard, at least 3 feet from the property line, et cetera.
No, and this
Can't
really
be,
only applies to areas that wouldn't be covered by, say, subdivision
Yeah,
regulations.
deed restrictions on that, so.
Yeah, there's deed restrictions, a lot of subdivisions that regulate like no boats, no,
right,
so in subdivisions that have consciously chosen to make. So this is more, in areas where they don't have, it. And so we're just saying, you can only park one commercial vehicle that could be 12,000 pounds.
correct.
Access. Okay. And then what was the?
Accessory structures, so are gazebos and pergolas, and I think what else we've had that's people have put it in. So actually limiting it to 2 is, somebody has a detached garage and a shed and they want to put in a pergola, well, then they can't. On our current regulations.
Well, why are we just saying?
Right, and in our former zoning resolution, we did not have a limit. This was something new we put in and sounded like a good idea at the time and hasn't fared well over the past year. But of course, we did want to have some kind of a limit. So this way, the 10%, yes, in Mr. Sangstock's example, somebody could put up a 2,000 square foot pole barn or something, but then they're maxed out at their 10%. They couldn't put in a shed or gazebo or anything like that. Now, if somebody wanted to put in 5 sheds, yeah, I guess they could, as long as it's not exceeding the 10%, but it's not something we typically see.
So why are we just saying one structure? One building structure. So that way they eliminate it. You got a building that you want to make a shed, you're going to put a gazebo up, that's not considered the same thing. And leave them separate.
But they are the same thing, they are both accessory structures. They're accessory to the principal building being the dwelling.
With a shed, you have a building area that's designated, usually a rectangle. And the house can go on there. If you're gonna put a shed on it, if it's gonna be attached to the house, it has to fall within that.
Right.
If it's detached, it's to be in the rear of the yard and so many feet from either side. Now, as for more than one, you're gonna have room to do this. You know, just like a that is detached. I know they don't have a house. It's so, but it's for accessory building. That thing goes in the back. There's a certain distance from the rear yard.
And this would apply to lots measuring less than 1 acre. So large lots, this would not apply to. It would be,
And deed restrictions that override sheds and things like that.
Right.
Prevail anyway.
right.
Plant sheds is a hot issue in my neighborhood.
I guess another example of an accessory structure. I'm sorry?
That doesn't say Jim Woods, that shows it say Jim Woods.
Most of the newer subdivisions you can't have sheds.
Yeah, another example of an accessory structure would be a pool house. A lot of people have a pool, want to put up a pool house. They may already have a detached garage or a shed or whatever. So, yeah, we found the limit of 2 accessory buildings to be more problematical than we anticipated.
So if somebody wanted to put up a third building, what would they do now? They'd have to go through zoning appeals?
If they're already at their 10%.
Most of it.
Oh, you mean right now?
Yeah, right now, so somebody comes and they've got a gazebo and they've got a detached
Right.
garage, they want to put up a pool house, because they're sitting on one of those big lots,
Yeah, I guess they would have to go for variance.
we would deny it unless they went for a variance, is what you're saying.
Right. And I don't know that the Board of Zoning appeals, they look for a hardship. I mean, if you're saying, well, I want to put up a gazebo, I mean,
Yeah, it's not.
it's kind of hard to demonstrate a hardship there.
So what this does is basically keeps them, if we say 10% of the lot, they can't cover their whole with accessory buildings.
Right.
I just had a quick question. When I was looking at it, and for those who don't know, I spent a lifetime in zoning and government finance. And one of the issues, Daryl, I'm looking at here is your homeowner associations, your newer subdivisions do not have an issue because of the fact that they have their homeowner association rules and regulations and or deed restrictions that people agree to do when they move into those subs. But like myself, I'm in Bancroft Woods. It's like one of the oldest subs in the area. You do not have any of these protections. And if you put a number, pick some reasonable number, at least 3 or 4, or somebody, then make it a conditional use or put some restrictions so they got to talk to somebody rather than having somebody go out there and do something crazy. And if you don't restrict it, it's going to happen. I'm just telling you, it will happen if you do not have a restriction for it. And without the restriction, say, pick a number, 3 or 4 or something, then you're going to have people coming in here with around my area, I got people who got an 850 square foot home, and they can have a 1,500 square foot shed on it, and it's going to look like him. And like I said, reasonable people look at things differently than somebody out there says, hey, if I can do it, I'm doing it.
Let me ask a question. Are both of the things that we're talking about, the accessory buildings and the vehicle storage, are they both in the Article 8?
Yes. Supplemental.
So
regulation.
what we could do as an option tonight is we could pull out Article 8, maybe do a little bit more tweaking or address some of these concerns and pass the other ones. Or, because I hate to wordsmith here on the fly, I guess. Like we talked about that, okay, take out the recreational vehicle. Or we can move on all of them, depending on what the zoning commission thinks. But if you think these are reasonable concerns, we could take Article 8 separately or pull it off for revision.
I guess if I can address Mr. Sangstock's most recent comment, with our current regulation, they could still put in, if they've got an 800 square foot house, they could still put in a 1,200 square foot garage, a pole barn. And then they could put in a second 1,200
Yes.
square foot building.
Two accessory, yeah.
And again, we actually looked at some other jurisdictions. A lot of them had not to exceed at 20% of the total calculated area of the lot. We felt that, I mean, again, a 20,000 square foot lot, that would be 4,000 square feet of accessory structures. That would, I don't know, we felt that would be rather excessive, so that's why we went to 10%.
But like, when you're familiar with it, the house that's out on the shop, that has a huge accessory building. Under either of these regulations, they couldn't put up that building.
I think those lots are about, they're about 3 acres and 3 or 4 acres in size, so this wouldn't apply. Either way, the old or the new one would not apply.
So it really is something the size of a lot. If you have a big lot, you can put up bigger buildings. If you have a small lot, you can
Right.
have a shed, unless it's prohibited by the
It's
deed.
like all these lots that are on Shetland and all those lots over there. They're more than an acre.
Yeah, but like I said, this one, under 1 acre, I mean, if you take into setback requirements on the issue, you're not, I don't think you could get 10% of the house. I mean, you have side yard setbacks, rear front setbacks, and I can't imagine having more than
Well, on accessory structures, it's only a 3-foot side and 6-foot rear setback, so it's,
you
yeah,
can build
but you're right, on some of these smaller lots.
You can't build like a top line 3 feet from property line or whatever, can you?
3 feet from the side, yes. But no, not on the property.
Well, for most of the small sheds, they probably don't come through here anyway. I mean, people are going to Menards and they're buying a shed. I mean, let's just be real.
They're supposed to come.
They are supposed to come, but, nobody tells them when they buy, one of the big lots. Take it home, put it on their lot.
Until we get a call from the neighbor.
Yeah, but even there, I mean, it's hard to enforce. We've got an issue in my neighborhood. So, what's the pleasure of the commission at this point in time? We can move on recommendations. I mean, Daryl's looked at this, the zoning commission's looked at it, or do we have concerns about some of the ones Mr. Sensac has raised in Article 8? We could take those separately or let him tweak those a little bit more.
Well, I guess if he's gonna tweak it, what's he gonna tweak it to?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what exactly I think the new version is better. I mean, I don't think there's any question about that. It's just a question is if that's really the final language or if there needs to be like, we're taking out recreational, right? You're just recommending that in the one.
Right, because of RVs.
Yeah.
I thought this is acceptable.
You fine with it?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
And if I may, I mean, this is a living, working document. I
There's
can't,
problems, we can change it again.
exactly, I can't say that I won't be back a year from now saying, this isn't working
This
out.
isn't working out.
We got another idea, right? I mean,
Well, then.
hopefully this will work well.
Yeah, I know that we put a lot of thought into it the last year, so, do I have a motion, do any other comments? Do I have a motion to approve the text amendments? We have a motion to approve, do we have a second? Motion and a second, any additional comments? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Sable,
Yes.
Ms. Himmelman,
Yes,
Mr. Cox,
Yes.
Mr. Valensky.
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you.
And, do we have anything scheduled for next month, or?
Oh, yeah.
Fun?
3 or 4 zone changes. Sylvania, Macomb, Or two on Sylvania.
So it'll be a full agenda.
Yes,
Okay, so plan on,
three zone changes.
plan on a June meeting.
One is a house on McLean near Alexis that is zoned commercial. They want to rezone to residential for insurance purposes. That's the easy one. The other two, both on Sylvania Avenue. One is the YMCA JCC. They're going through a
Expansion project.
expansion project. They need to, they're currently zoned R, I want to say RA? Yeah. So they need to rezone to S1 special. And then the other one is the last little bit of the property there on Sylvania and King, the northeast corner, last 3.5 acres. It's currently zoned A3. They're applying for a C1. Put in a dollar store.
Diagonal for.
Sylvania King.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Hey, it's not a storage.
I see that one down.
Dollar stores are very popular for the young people. So, okay, we'll talk about those. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second? Motion is a second, call the roll, please.
All right. Mr. Cox,
Yes.
Mr. Zelinski,
Yes.
Ms. Himmelman,
Yes.
Mr. Zabel.
Yes.
Motion carries, we are adjourned.
So Daryl's in.